Hello, everyone. A fabulous conversation. Hi, guys. Are we live? Hello, everyone. How are we all doing? Let me just write my comment to pen. Hi, guys. How are you all doing? I am so overheated. I'm 2 minutes late because I was meant to go live a minute ago, but let's have a look at what we're doing today. Hi, everyone. Now, let me write my top comment in dot. Now, this is a confusing thing. Have I done this all right today? Hi, guys. Don't auto spell on me, you awful thing. Hi, everyone. I was meant to be live 5 minutes ago, but I'm a little bit late today. I hope you don't mind. How is everyone doing? Right. Now, if I've done that wrong, I'm going to be so annoyed with myself. I'm going to be live with the incredible Ophelia, which I cannot wait in a moment. So let me pin this comment. Yay. Have I done it right? I think I've done it right. Pin comment. Here we go. Hi, everyone. I can actually chill out now. How are we all doing? I was having a wig melt moment. I was having all the drama. Everything was going a bit tits up, but we are here to chat today. Now, oh yay, let me see if it's working. Right, I'm going to invite you, hun. Hopefully that's gone through okay.
Hello.
Hello. How are
Hi.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I've had everything go wrong. All the lighting was wrong. The wig was falling off.
No. Well, I literally just finished a recording like a makeup look, so I was rushing as well. So
It's one of those days. I think they're like, where are you? Where are you at the moment? Because I'm in Brighton and we're really humid but cold and grey.
I'm like literally in my bedroom in like a little setup that I have in front of my laptop. The only that I have, which is right in front of me.
Oh my goodness. Well, I can't believe we're finally doing this. I've been such a huge fan of everything you've done for so long, and I wanted to reach out because I'm doing this series where I'm interviewing people that are inspiring to me, and I had no idea that you knew my work when I first reached out. So I was like,
I knew your work. I was following you since I don't even remember. It was like when everyone was doing videos on YouTube, that was when I obviously came across your videos and here I am.
oh my God. Well, I've been watching everything you've been doing, and I want to tell and learn everything about you. So, how did your artistic journey start? Tell me everything.
My artistic journey started when I was very, very young. It has nothing to do with makeup, obviously, but I started with, going to art lessons when I was probably in like primary school. So I did fine art most of the time until kind of like high school when you kind of figure out where you want to go for the rest of your life. So I decided to go through fashion design. And then I think I think fate just took me to like a makeup route anyway. So long story short, that's how I'm here
I'm
as a
amazed.
makeup.
Would you describe yourself as a mixed medium artist? Because I always find it totally like confusing when people call me a makeup artist. I'm like, well, I'm not really a makeup artist. I'm sort of a bit of everything. I've done again fashion like you have, but there is like a line throughout everything that you create that is so beautiful and signature to you. And what else do you create in that aside from makeup?
Um, I draw a lot. Still, I mean, ever since I was very young, I've been drawing, I've been painting, and I still do that sometimes, especially when I feel like I need to step away from makeup or like when you feel a bit stuck somewhere. But I don't think I am just like a makeup makeup artist as it is, because a lot of the techniques that I use, I actually learn from fashion design or from painting or from drawing, and from, like crafting things. So I think they are all interconnected, but I think saying that I'm a makeup artist is just maybe easier for other people to understand as a
Yes.
makeup.
It's just, I think it's amazing though, because when I was reading up about your bio, and obviously I had to do my research, even though we've been chatting on and off, you've got the fashion background too. So you've done loads and you studied fashion. Is that right?
Yes, I
Where
did
did you
fashion
go?
design. I went to Ravensbourne. Yeah, here in London.
Ah, amazing. So I'm like picking up that you can do academic stuff too, right? You're like both sides of the brain working at once.
Asian. So yes, very that I have to try and make sure that I don't waste my time and that I do my best at everything that I can, because coming from Hong Kong and being able to study here in the UK, it's obviously a bit more expense on my parents' side, and I'm very lucky to have them support me to do fashion design at least.
Mm.
I have to make sure that I don't fail. You know?
Yeah, I understand that. It's interesting because like I think when I went to uni, I got in originally to do Central St Martin's menswear, and then I had to defer a year because my house fell down. It's a very long story. But I went back and I got in to do an academic route. I did a biochemistry master's instead of my creative stuff. And I always find in this industry when you meet people, the people that really stand out to me are the people that can do both sides of things, like not just the creative elements of what we do, but also have like a viewpoint and a strategy and an opinion about things. And when I was reading about like how you kind of like created all of your journey through all the stuff you do, I was like, oh my God, there's so much in common here. It was like a familiar thing. But tell me about growing up in Hong Kong. I'd actually just worked with Shake Up Cosmetics, and the founders, Jake and Shane, were giving me all the education about growing up in Beijing. And I learned so much on my recent trip to Bath with them. But tell me everything about that.
Oh, growing up in Hong Kong was I I have been away from Hong Kong for like 15 years now, so
Wow.
it's a long time. But from my memory, I felt like it was kind of difficult and kind of just in a way boring, because I'm at that age. I was at that age where, you grow up to be a teenager and you're trying to find your own voice or trying to find your identity and things like that. And it was hard in Hong Kong. Um, and I think that's why I kind of really was obsessed with sort of like a Western culture kind of influences, especially, with all the crazy magazines that you guys have. And amazing music, exciting music, and art that you guys produce. And that was kind of like what I looked to a lot back then when I was in Hong Kong. But obviously, as soon as I left Hong Kong and I was living here in the UK, I kind of appreciated Hong Kong a lot more now than I did before. I guess, you gotta leave your home to really appreciate your home. So that's what I sort of went through in Hong Kong. It was hard, but if I didn't leave Hong Kong, I feel like I would have been very different.
Well, I think there's like so many elements like that I spot in your work with sort of like the British subcultures of like the Susie Sue inspo sometimes. There's like I can see this. I recently went to the New Romantics exhibition on the weekend, and I was studying all those like crazy old Blitz Club looks, and I was thinking, oh my God, there's such like an element within some of your expression that's referencing that era.
Yeah, I would say I would have loved to be around at that time, but obviously coming from like halfway across the world, it was the only way that I could sort of like experience that culture is just through YouTube. And you know, just because I couldn't physically be there. Uh, but you know, yeah, that's it was hard. It was hard. That's all I could say.
God, I was back to front to you because my inspo. I went to Tokyo when I was 17, and I was obsessed with Visual K, and I was obsessed with all the fabulous Asian bloggers at that time. And my friend used to get Egg magazine, and all of the like. I used to glue my eyelids and things from Egg magazine, like many years before there was any knowledge of it here. And I remember when I started to like learn like about Malice Miser and all these incredible reference points. That was my early like life favorite route. I was once in a fashion show when I was 16 in like elegant gothic Lolita and all the fabulous stuff that you can get. But it's I think like when you can see like a big like mood board of all these incredible inspiration points, that's what I see in so much of your work. Like obviously not so much like direct, but like I can see how it all bleeds in and it's so familiar.
I think I definitely have my own aesthetic, like
Yeah.
oh, my own kind of obsession that I cannot, that's so ingrained in me that I cannot get out of anymore. I branch out, but I always come back to, what I felt like it is the most comfortable with me in a way, which to a lot of people it's an uncomfortable thing to see, maybe. I don't know. But I think that's also what's exciting because back then there was so much subcultures, I think, and I really miss that era. There
Me
was
too.
a lot of subcultures from Japan and obviously from UK and America, and that was amazing.
Oh my God, and I think the beauty industry's changed so much because in some ways everything's homogenized and become smaller. Because when I started playing with makeup, you couldn't get all these like colorful foundations in pale shades or deep shades. When I first went to Asia and I discovered this is like 2008 or 9, and I saw the color corrections and the jelly skincare and things that weren't available here. Like we had Dream Matte Mousse.
Oh yeah.
But it's so amazing to see like how everything has come together, but in some ways we've lost those pockets of like subculture.
I mean, you were struggling to find skincare. I was struggling to find a black lipstick in Hong Kong.
Yes. I love that aspect. I love that everything's become like accessible, but I think sometimes when there wasn't how to's on everything, people were more resourceful and people were more unique in their experience.
I mean, it was very unique for me. The only way that I could do a black lip is to use a black kohl pencil. But I'm sure a lot of people do that nowadays to get a really black lipstick. But is it like the most comfortable thing on your lips? No.
No, I remember in my first tutorials, I was using things in so many strange ways. I got those lime crime lipsticks, and I was painting them all on as like face paint and things. But I was so poor, I just did what I could.
Hey, but I think we gotta start from somewhere, Like we can't just go come into the game and get like a whole set of fabulous, good quality makeup. I think as we start to get into a sort of like trial and error
Mm.
stage, you just gotta work with what you got, no matter how good or bad the products may be?
Absolutely. My favorite thing you do, even though there's lots of things that you do that I love, but you have like almost like a tattooist illustration type style of drawing. You're very clean with your line. How did you learn to do that with makeup? Because I find it hard with these. Look, dustbin lid size hands. I can, I find it impossible. I can do it with a lot of struggle, but you are immaculate with your line. How did you learn to do that?
I mean, I we used to have to learn how to do Chinese calligraphy back in school
Shut
when
up. Okay.
with the quill pen kind of thing. I can't remember what kind of hair it is. Basically, the Chinese pen. And obviously, like I didn't really pay attention to that. At that point, I wasn't really into using brushes like that. Um, but obviously, I started to get into like the subcultures, and I moved here to the UK, and I started uni here in London. And obviously, like the first year here in London, I was like, well, actually, it's not too busy. School is not too crazy. I got time. So what I did was I went to start to learn how to do tattoos, and that didn't last long because my parents found out afterwards and wanted to stop. so I stopped. But from learning tattooing, obviously all I needed to do a lot was drawing, a lot of drawing. And the way that we do drawings is that, well, the way that I was taught to do drawings was your line needs to be in one stroke and you cannot stop. You cannot be sketchy because that's how you would hold a tattoo needle, right? A tattoo gun.
Yeah.
You need to do one stroke. You can't go back in again. Well, at least you shouldn't. Um, so that's also how I sort of adapted that into my drawings and also onto my face, where every stroke needs to count, and if I do it the right way the first way, wait, if I did it right the first way around, then I won't need to do it again.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm the opposite of that. I'm so feathery. I'm like, I don't do like these clean lines. I'm so bad. Like, because I remember being taught cross hatching before I was taught line. And I like to kind of like bring in the shadow before I bring in the line. So I work the opposite way around. And sometimes I remember when I used to do all my illustrative on YouTube, I look back and go, I'm never going to put this on, and I have to do it again until I got it right. And you're so right. Once you get it right the first time and it's correct, you don't need to do the same steps, like repeating it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it kind of like because I'm so used to it and I'm so good at it, in my
You were
opinion, that
brilliant.
you forget to focus on other areas.
Mhm.
I do love cross hatching, but it's something that I need to um sort of explore a bit more,
Mhm.
because even with drawings, you can just pick up a lot of skills from that and apply that in makeup, if that makes any sense.
It makes total
Eyeshadow,
sense.
eyeshadows is basically playing with, I don't know, charcoal on paper. You gotta blend. It's chalky. The texture is very similar. So yeah, that's what I think anyway.
I agree. Like someone told me many years ago that Karl Lagerfeld, when he was around, was using the shoe and mirror eyeshadows to illustrate his Chanel images, like before he came up with the design. So it's interesting when you see like how these mediums apply to different things. Like everything kind of blends all in together, which I love. But my other thing that I love that you do, I have to compliment you, is when you used like almost like mosaic style like additives to things where you build up with gemstones or you add a secondary medium on top of the skin, like what is that about? Because that is totally unique to you and it's always original. Like, I particularly love the one where you did you connected like strings almost like a chandelier or a spider web with dew on, and it was like beautiful silvery, but it was just magnificent. You were so talented, and to watch an artist that I am inspired by and getting to talk to you is such an honor, because I think it's so rare these days that we see people do original things. It's not just we know what's trending and we're going to do our version of it. You do new things. So tell me about all of this because it's amazing.
I mean, it's again like sticking gems onto faces, or anything to faces is not really original anymore. I think, what's original is how you do it and the design that you put into it. And I can't really remember which one you're talking about. Is it the spider web dewdrop
It was
one?
kind of like you had like the entire face was covered in silvery gemstones, but some were connected with string and they were dangly, and it just looked like a beautiful chandelier spirit.
Can't remember that. You got to show me. I thought
I loved it.
I do like sticking things to my face. I feel like, I think that has a bit more of like a fashion approach to it,
Mhm.
like when it comes to sewing, beading, and adorning a piece of clothing, or you play with strings, you play with beads, you play with fabric, so why don't you apply it to your face?
That makes total sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just is it original? I probably don't think it's original, but I think it's down to the fact um of how you design it, and I don't know, it's a bunch of things like what colors you're using, what materials materials you're using, how are you doing it differently. I think that is what makes your work more original.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
It's you curate things in a unique way though. There's always and there's a shadow within some of your designs that I love. So what's the like kind of not necessarily horror, but there is like an undertone sometimes. Tell me about that.
I love horror. I think everyone knows that by now. I love horror. I love anything that people might find disgusting in a way. Like I'm sure I'm not the only one, but have you ever seen the marbling on
Yes.
skin? I I find that very beautiful. So to me, that is beauty, and that is it's not a way to shock, but also just to sort of show people what I see as beautiful and make it look even more beautiful in a way. Um, and I
Do you
think,
like Ellis Fast stuff?
sorry.
Do you like Ellis Fast stuff? Because she's passed, but when she created her brand, all of the colours were taken from colours of the body, so blood, bruises. So her makeup line only consisted of those tones, which I thought was such an interesting approach to designing a makeup. But it works so much. Like, I always joke to people, they're always like, "What? How do I choose my favourite nude? Like for a lipstick?" And I say, "Look at your nipple. That's your favourite nude. That's the perfect colour." Because you can use the colours of the body to sort of like adorn everything perfectly for you.
It's very true. I think, like taking inspiration from what you already have and accentuating them. I think that's also beautiful because like nowadays all people try to cover everything. They
Yes.
really cover everything, but I tend to emphasize that for my kind of beauty looks or my client's beauty look. I would suggest something that is a bit more out there. Let's say like a really tired crying eyes or busted lip or things like that. I think it's realistic. It relates to people. You know what it is, and it looks cool. So yeah.
Sometimes there's a lack of ability to do that within the beauty industry. I remember when I first started to talk to the agencies within more the European market and in America, and they want to do like glam looks because the clients want either simplistic or glam. And it's very difficult, I think, sometimes as a makeup artist because it's very expensive to be a makeup artist. You have to buy everything, you get paid very little sometimes, there's lack of unions sometimes. So it's a very difficult industry to be in, but you found a sort of way to kind of express yourself and do it still. You've gone on tour with musicians. So how did you find that?
It was actually through my agent, so you know, like because my agent manages Bambi, and it just so happens that Bambi needed a makeup artist, so people know people, and I think our aesthetic and visions are pretty similar, and that's actually one of the most enjoyable work that I've done so far, just because that kind of look is very me. So when I do it, when I create it, it's almost like you don't need to think, you just need to do, and you get to really enjoy doing that makeup. So it's
And it comes
therapy.
alive.
Yeah, yeah,
It,
yeah, and I think it works very well with Bambi as well. So yeah, but I think I don't have a lot of clients, but when I do, they stick around because they are very much looking for a specific type of makeup that it's hard to get from other makeup artists, if that makes any sense.
mm-hmm,
Niche market, but once those clients find you, they will just you're the and I hope so. I hope so. I hope that's how it goes.
who were your favorite makeup artists growing up? Like, who were your big ones that you were inspired by?
Do you know what's crazy, but like people ask me that a lot of the times, and most of the time, my mind goes blank because obviously there's Alex Box,
Mm,
but I pull a lot of my inspiration from from people and things that are not.
I get it.
I work with Andrew Gallimore a lot, and it's so exciting to watch him work as well. His looks are very, very out there, very fun, very unconventional, and I absolutely love it. Uh, what other makeup artists do I like? That's quite a few that I'm looking at or pulling inspiration from at the moment, but I can't pinpoint the names because
Do you like Serge Latons? Because like some of your stuff give me old school Serge.
oh, I love Search.
Mm.
I love Search. Like, oh, I don't. It's everything about him and his branding and his aesthetic. It's not just the makeup. It's the way that he takes the photograph, the way he dresses the model, the way he adds in illustration. If
Mm.
is there illustration involved, I'm not too sure, but it looks like it did. But it's everything that he does. Like I don't even see him as a makeup artist, even
No,
I think that
it's fascinating. I love him so much, like his work. And when I first read his book, and it actually said like even his gender expression, he was considering himself too spirited within his work, and it was almost like a transient way to express that. I think like all my favorite creative artists, whether it be makeup or otherwise, they've all got this sort of like there's a similar thread between everything, but it's I'm intrigued, and it's like it's sad, isn't it, that there isn't a, because makeup is so amazing when it's got a dark side to it, but there is such a lack of space in the industry to actually be paid for that type of stuff. Even though when you do it, everyone takes inspiration for it, and it's like it's such a frustrating sort of like equilibrium in the industry. Do you find it quite tough sometimes with the lack of representation? Because I remember when I first came out, the amount of times that I've had to reintroduce my work and people don't know I've got the chemistry side to what I do. They don't know I've sold millions of products, but not under my own name. They just see LGBT influencer. And it's like, well, I've stopped doing that about 10 years ago. I've kind of moved on to doing a lot more, but it's such a pain, isn't it, sometimes?
it is such a pain because it's kind of almost like what Tyra Banks says, one day you're in, the next day you're out.
hmm
Tell you this, that my, I don't know if it's another factor, but I get a lot of content, I get a lot of jobs booked during and after COVID.
Okay.
But but for I think the past year or two, nothing. So I don't know if it's because people just wanted to plaster or hire Asian influencer because they want to show that their brand is not um is being inclusive. But when they feel like they don't need that anymore, they stop doing it.
Oh, yeah. Big,
So
obviously, with the commentary from Trump that was so xenophobic and racist, and then people suddenly started to be inclusive towards the Asian community for the first time, and it's like, well, what's going on here? I mean, like with the British Beauty Council, who I wanted to work with, because I thought for years I was only getting booked for Pride. I was like, why am I there? Like, hello, I'm here the other days. It's so bizarre, but sometimes when I've spoken to my peers in the industry, it's like I think that we all know the same things from different perspectives. We need to work collaboratively, and I think it's so like cool when like I always pass on clients to people if I can't do them and things, and working together more like a kind of like a siblinghood almost to like because it's so important because relying on people to do the right thing is going to be so exhausting, and it's frustrating when the best and most innovative talent in this industry is often overlooked.
I think so. I mean, the industry focuses a lot on who's popular and who's trending now, more
Mhm.
than who will last and who will grow. You know what I mean? Like it's it's so I don't don't know how to describe it. My English is not very there yet, but
Oh, you're
it's
perfect. Stop it.
very on the surface. So you see this one day, and then just tomorrow you forget about it. You know, it's very disposable. That's what disposable. That's
I
what.
agree with you. And people are, I think, like my frustration is if you're in any kind of career path, you should be able to consistently study and evolve. You become a nurse, then a doctor, then a surgeon, then a specialist surgeon. The more you do in the beauty industry, it's like unless the next project is directly in front of what's popular, you're not able to accumulate your value. And this is something that I've found to be quite frustrating. And I think not having a union and not having the basics sorted out first, because even when you go on shoot sometimes and they don't have any food or they don't have any breaks, I know like they've had the big American strike with all the stuff that we I think without sorting out the basics, it's quite an annoying industry. But do you find it like now that we've got digital at our disposal and we can do endorsements online, do you find that like a help to work with the actual makeup artistry? Because that's I've been relying mostly on the digital stuff. Like I'm very good at hooking a client in with digital. The makeup stuff, it's exhausting sometimes.
You know what's interesting? That, you know, on let's say my freelance makeup job, let's say if I'm on shoot, I'm there 24, not 24 hours, but like a reasonably long time. I get paid a lot less than staying at home and filming content for like a brand deal.
Yeah.
Like a shoot is actually where I need to have expertise and patience and everything. Like I need to do this for team to have a good photograph. But why am I getting a lot less work money than, you know, sitting at home and filming content? Not saying that I'm complaining, but
No.
I think a lot about, you know, what's important to the industry, and that it's, you know, marketing is very much there first and artistry behind, which is frustrating because how can I say? I don't know what else to say about that because it's a struggle, but
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like a struggle that I can't get out of.
It's so frustrating, and it's I've had this conversation with every aspect, people that are doing Marvel movies, people that are doing TV, and it's like once that project's over, we have to fight again. It's like nearly every single time, and it's so exhausting. This is why, like, I think, like for me, because I grew up on social media, even before I did the YouTube stuff, I was on MySpace at 13, 14. So I found myself on my summer holiday being followed by 500,000 people, which is how everything started 20 years ago. If you believe 20 years, she's getting old. But I think the brilliance of social media that taught me the lesson of you can create your own boundaries around a project, and every single time I get bored or something's not coming my way, I'll make something new up. And I'm interested to see what you would do if you were going to brand your artwork in terms of a product, because in my fantasy, I would love to buy, like, you know, you can get like sort of the gemstones that are pre-made but with an artistic Ophelia expert drawing behind them. That would be freaking awesome. And I'm sure everyone watching this will buy them.
You know, I have ideas of bringing products out, and I have a good few ideas as well. And I'm always thinking about it. I'm always like writing what I could make product wise. Um, because I think that's another thing into my artistry is to kind of create a whole brand and sort of like an identity outside of myself and for the public to enjoy.
Mm.
Uh, I I don't want to say much, but
Don't give it away.
I think it's something that I need to look into, and that is also I only really just seriously thought about these things because, you know, like as you said, we can't rely on anyone anymore because it's so unstable. It's it's a struggle. So I gotta make my own world if I'm not needed in this world. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So um Yeah.
I think you'd be so brilliant at doing something that combines a fashion element, a mixed medium element, and that makeup, like something you could wear on your face that would be created by you. Because every time I see you with these mixed medium face pieces of art, like even if you like, I don't even know. If you need me to do anything, you want to work on anything, I would work with you in a heartbeat on something like that because I think you're so talented and it's so exciting. And I love to hear that you've got all of this other like input when it comes to like the anatomy of the face. Now, you were telling me about behind the scenes about other things you're doing that study the anatomy. Tell me about that.
Oh wow. I mean, I was asked to work with an American company which does like facial and what's the word? Facial aesthetics?
Yeah.
Is that facial aesthetics? And they basically wanted a makeup artist to paint a um muscle face on a model to
Mm.
demonstrate for their brand how the specific product work on the face. Now I'm not gonna say what it's for because I don't want to get in trouble. But I think I feel very excited about projects like this because you are talking about like a big company, pharmaceutical company, utilizing artistry to promote their work.
Mm.
And it's been an absolute joy to work with them every time because, they really take care of me and they really like what I do. And it seems like what I'm doing is helping the brand a lot. That's crazy. Like just one person painting a model's face can attract so many people to be interested in, oh, what's this company doing? I've never seen this company before. Why is she painting muscle on on a model's face? It gets the conversation going, and I find this sort of like, let's say, unconventional way of marketing very, yeah, exciting. I think more people should do it.
I agree. I agree. There's so much space, like especially, and I think it's funny when it comes to this because like this isn't specifically a beauty industry project, but using the beauty industry to do something amazing. And sometimes we lose a bit of like common sense when it comes to the beauty brands because they never really like capitalize on the talent we've got. I always think like, oh my God, if I was creatively directing these campaigns,
Think that you Do you think that people are a bit timid now when it comes to, ways of marketing their products or brands? Like people are are more timid about their concepts.
I think that they are very nervous in two ways. I think when it comes to sometimes looking at the DEI stuff that all these brands are told to follow, when I've gone to magazines like Vogue and I've gone to tell them about new products I've worked on, I've asked them directly, where are all the representation of all these incredible gender diverse artists? Why are we not included in all these other lists that you put out every year in the business of fashion, all this stuff? And they said we're actually worried that we would get a backlash if we made a misstep. And I said, well, you can't get it right unless you make a misstep. And I think because the pace of the industry is so quick that they are not willing to lose any money or to risk damaging their brand identity by making a misstep. And when it comes to the sort of like sometimes when like brands come in and they're purpose led, not profit led, they change the game a little bit better than when you're waiting for a big company to disperse it because they don't, they're so scared they're going to muck up their revenue. I think it all boils down to the income and it's scary because you can't wait for changes to happen in a positive way anymore. You have to really form your own company and show how it works in an innovative way. Even when you look at like Made by Mitchell, which is kind of an interesting brand to study because it's almost done what Charlie XCX has done with Brat to the beauty industry because it's captured almost lightning in a bottle. It's people can't afford makeup. It's an affordable brand. It's got like very limited, not got big budget like promotions. It's just selling to people through TikTok shop and it's become a major disruptor. They've made like millions in a day doing the live streams. So I think like sometimes when you get like these brands that just pop up, it shifts things. But you have to show that it makes enough money that everyone pays attention to it because there was no made by Mitchell at the CEW Awards or in any of these brand summits or the award shows. But now you'll see that because things have changed. Now he's shown that he's made money. But it all boils down to money. And I think before they were willing to take risks because it was collection driven. Do you remember when like Mac used to bring out like a collection driven like every season, like Hello Kitty, and then there was another one. If one failed, they'd have another one in the background coming up behind it. So
Oh,
I guess that
that's how it worked for Mac. I didn't know that.
I think so. And now it's kind of got they've slowed down a little bit too much.
Yeah, I agree. I remember when, well, my first time going into Mac, okay, in Hong Kong, I saw the collection with Gareth Pugh.
Oh yes.
I still dream about those lashes that I never bought.
Yes.
Those lashes are so unique that I've never seen anyone who's done them again.
I
And
may have some. I may have some in my archive. If I have some, I'll look through it after and I'll send it to you if I've got them. Because I've got loads of sheer mirror ones. I've got all the old Mac ones. I've got all the big chunky Mac ones, like when they did like the huge bat wings.
the triangle that I was looking at, yeah, but like that's what I miss from beauty brands is that when they put out things that are just unique, it doesn't need to be much, right?
Right.
Just one or two things that are unique, or like a capsule collection, as we call it in fashion, right? A capsule
Yeah.
collection, for the goth kids, for the weird kids. But I think a lot, as you say, a lot of brands are trying to sort of like be be very careful with their identity, and they don't want to take any missteps. But I think creating exciting product probably wouldn't ruin that much. But
I
then,
agree. I did you see the broccoli thing when everyone's using broccoli to do freckles on TikTok, and then suddenly someone made a fake broccoli out of silicone, and it was a silly product, but it sold out so quickly, and I just thought because people will have there is a demand for that new thing, isn't there?
yeah, I mean it's fun to I probably wouldn't buy it because I don't like freckles. People
I got rid
find
of mine.
some find ways around it, and that would be the pot of money that is completely theirs. But I just hope that there's more interesting things out there in the beauty industry.
Yeah. I would love one day to like see a brand that every kind of like 2 months they choose an upcoming artist to just create something without restrictions and see like maybe they got 6 products that they'd make. Just see how it will work because I think that there would be so much like interest in a concept like that, more so than a carefully 2 year in development launch.
That sounds exciting already.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Oh my god. Like that would be even as an artist, right? Like if I get to experience that to create my own products, that's a very unique experience that you probably never get anywhere else. So
Yes, they did it. They've done it with perfumes and things in the past. They are like, so I don't see why they couldn't. Just needs to get like a good creative mind. Anyway, I've told you it was going to be 45 minutes and I don't want to take up more of your time, but I want to say just thank you so, so, so much for joining me again. Where can everyone find you and what are we going to expect for Halloween? Because I know you're going to bring out some gorgeous things.
interesting because I just got asked to go on tour with Bambi again for Halloween.
Yeah.
Not available for I think wait how many weeks I can't remember. Basically the whole of Halloween, I will not be available at all. So um, I will still be working with Bambi a lot in the future, I think, and you will see more exciting makeup looks from me in the meantime while I'm away. Um, what else? Um, Hopefully there's more cool projects for me that just comes out of nowhere.
Yes, they will. We'll manifest them.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was so nice speaking to you, and thank you for all the questions. I think that is a lot to get out, I think. Yeah.
Oh, I know. It was so much fun. And we'll have to do something in person when we're in the same place at the same time.
Of course, definitely. Just let me
All right, my
know.
love. Take care. See you soon. Bye, hon.
Bye. Bye bye.